Welcome to the PFD Performance YouTube channel. Pretty friggin' deadly. Alright, well, it's been far too long again. Doing this part-time and videoing it isn't the easiest, but we sure do have fun doing it, so we're trying to keep up with it. Today, we're going to be pulling this out. And I got to do a little bit of work on my Jeep Cherokee there. So I had it out for work. You guys should have seen that by now. I had to replace the U-joint in the parking lot because it was real cooked. And in doing so, I think the vibrations just wore out the seal on the transfer case on the output shaft. So I picked up a slip yoke eliminator. I figured while we're at it, rather than just throwing a seal in it and maybe having the same issue, let's just try and upgrade it. So got the slip yoke eliminator, so we're going to be pulling it in here and trying to do that. And then we'll be measuring for a drive shaft and try and get that ordered up in the break here between Christmas and New Year's, and try and get her back together. With the prices of fuel right now, it might be nice to drive it for work, even though it doesn't have the creature comforts that the F450 has. But at 40 or 50 cents a liter, which is like what, $1.50 a gallon difference between regular gasoline and diesel. It adds up. So I will be pulling this out, moving it over, and making some room. So you'll be able to catch all that going on. Bring the thunder. Ready? Going up. All right, well, up here underneath the Jeep, I'm starting to second guess my plan. So this muffler is aftermarket, was put on here, and I'm a little bit nervous that there isn't going to be room for a double cardan shaft with the slip yoke eliminator. I think it might be all right, but I just don't know. It would be real close, because more or less the yoke for the U-joint is here, and it's about, and that would probably end up coming down, sitting right around here, which is right beside the muffler. So I just don't know. I'm gonna Google eyes and see what we can find. All right, well, after doing some Googling, I think it'll fit. And I guess I just decided we're gonna risk it. And if it doesn't clear the muffler, then we'll figure it out. But for now, we'll tackle the slip yoke eliminator. So I got the dust shield off. There's a snap ring in here. Got to get the speedo off. Everyone says make note of where it's pointing. This one's pretty easy. It's pointing straight down. Not that this speedo reads right anyway. Then I got to come around here. Got to take the front drive shaft off and pull that off so I can get that yoke out. So that once we split the case, I can pull the shaft out with all the chains, and yeah, that should be it. So I will maybe set you up on a time lapse and you can watch me struggle getting all of this out, and yeah, should be fun. All right, well, something interesting, but I guess I'm not super surprised. This is a snap ring. Let's see. And yeah, that's how it came out. So I have a feeling that this was maybe taken out when that U-joint went, and it just vibrated the crap out of this or something until it broke. Because there was a fair amount of shaft play that I noticed. Like, the bearing seems fine, but yeah, there's quite a bit of play in this. So that could have been part of my problem. Plus, the seal was definitely not sealing. There's part of it there. It was supposed to go in there, so that's where my leak came from. So, the question I have rattling around my brain: do I just go the cheap route, replace this, return the slip yoke eliminator, Bob's your uncle, this project's done in, 20 more minutes? Or do I do probably the right thing, especially for the 3.5-inch lift and no drop brackets on the transfer case transmission mount? I don't know. I don't know. I might have to ponder that. For now, I'll let the compressor keep rattling away. You might not hear any of this voice stuff over that awesome compressor noise. Kind of didn't even think of that. Anyway, I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so the confusion continues. There is a snap ring there. So help me understand. Makes no sense as to where that other broken ring came from. I don't know. Great question. In that short period of time, I also decided I'm probably just gonna send it to take the slip yoke eliminator back. That's a pain. And it'd be nice to help reduce some driveline losses or driveline vibrations. Yeah, we're gonna send it. So, set you up on time lapse again and let's see how this goes. All right, well, been farting around here long enough. Unfortunately, the battery died and I didn't notice. But Hey, it's naked. There's lots of stuff stuck on that. And this is pretty chewed up, but I'm wondering if that was from when the U-joint was bad and it was maybe just vibrating, and maybe with that C-clip it just rattled around a little bit. I don't feel like doing much more than probably rinsing it out good, putting some fresh fluid, and then maybe I'll check the fluid again in a couple 100 miles. If it seems dirty, then I'll change it out. But other than that, got the front case sitting there, got the shaft sitting here, the other shaft for the front, rear output shaft here. So there's another super fun C-clip right in there. I think there's a second one for the second pulley. But I've been out here for a while. It's Christmas break, so I am gonna go spend a little bit of time with the family. And we'll get to the final disassembly on the output shaft and the reassembly tomorrow. Catch you later. All right, back at it today. Gonna try and squeak in a little bit of work while the little one's napping. So, recap from last night. I'm going to try and get these gears off and swap them onto the new shaft. I'll set you up for a bit of a time lapse, and then I will grab the new parts and we'll take a look and start swapping. Alrighty. All right, so here's the new shaft, here's the old shaft. You can see here's our slip-on yoke, and here's where the new yoke will bolt on. This comes with a plastic speedo gear that will mount, I'm guessing, with a couple snap rings. We'll have to take a look through the instructions. So I'll swap these over onto this one and get the snap ring back on, and I'll end up having to clean up that case, get out some of the room temperature vulcanizing cream, and get her back together. Stick around. All right, well, we're gonna take a little bit of a pause right there. Got the stuff swapped over to the new shaft, got the new snap ring installed. Now, based on the instructions, what we gotta do is get the pump and filter installed again, because this doesn't fit through the filter. So I think they saved a little bit on machining costs, but it's a bit more of a pain in the ass with the kit I got. So I got to clean up the front, I guess rear, transfer case, so I can silicone it back on, and then we'll finish this off. So yeah, little one's up. Time to go have some family time, and we'll catch up hopefully later this afternoon and try and wrap this up and measure up for a drive shaft. Catch you later. All right, we'll get back to you with the live action. Got the pump back in, gave the filter a little bit of a rinse and tucked it back in its home, and gave everything a good wipe. And come here, got this all set up for our RTV. So we'll get after it. Time to start reinstalling stuff. Fun spot to be at. All right, well, we had one of those oh crap moments. So the pump tabs go on this side of the case. You'll see that one is what told me they needed to be on the outside, not the inside. So that was a fun sound. And I quickly pulled it off, put it back on, got her kind of zipped back on. One of the holes, I don't know whether it got marred up or just got some crud in it. I had to clean it out with a tap. And then I quickly put this back on. I was like, where did that piece go that used to be on that? Now, the pump was on the inside of the case. It's very unlikely that that piece would have broken towards the outside of the case and fell out and, you know, me be able to find it. So I think we're gonna have a nice little moment here, and I'm gonna take this all off, wipe off all the wet RTV, do it all over again, and I'm going to fish out that piece that broke off of that so it doesn't, you know, get caught up in the chain and do some real damage. I've already done enough of that already. So, yeah, I won't bore you with a time lapse of that. So just pretend that everything you saw for the last minute and a half, whatever it ends up being, I just do it again. And we'll come back once I'm done. All right, well, through the magic of YouTube, it's back together. And I'm glad I did because we found it. Now, it might rock a little bit with this missing, but I think with the cover on this and these three still there, I think we're gonna be fine, and that's what we'll tell ourselves. We did the right thing getting this out of there, put out some good karma, so this will just be fine. So just did the quick snug with the RTV. I'll let it harden up while I fight with this. So we got to put a snap ring on, which helps retain the pump. We slide our speedo drive, another snap ring, and then I think that pretty much puts us good to go to put the new output cone on. So I'll throw you on time lapse for that, and we'll see how it goes. All right, well, the battery ran out as I was getting ready to torque up this output shaft housing, so I just finished up. Got her on there, torquelized these to 20 foot-pounds, case bolts to 25. Started putting the front yoke on, got to put the rear one on here. Those are something like 140 to 160 foot-pounds. So I'll just give them all the ugga-duggas and then maybe try and get a breaker bar or something on. And then actually torque them, but it's kind of tricky when both sides rotate. So I'll get this rear yoke on and start putting her back together. All right, well, I think we got her licked. Yoke's on. Front drive shaft's back in. Gave her all the ugga-duggas with the impact. Put the front drive shaft back in. and actually put a torque wrench on the back, and it's pretty darn close to the 140. So I think we'll probably just call it good on the front. Got measured up for a drive shaft here. Let's take a look. She might be tight, but I'll call the drive shaft shop, see what they got for us, and we'll go from there. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for tonight, and I'll get back to you guys once I get a drive shaft. Thanks. All right, well, we're back. Been a bit of an adventure. So where we left off last was we had the slip yoke eliminator in, but now we got this long straight thing attached to it that provided to be a little difficult. So started off calling a driveline shop. They wanted $1,200 for a custom drive shaft, which, I don't know, seemed a little crazy to me. So did a little research, decided to go about it kind of the cheap off-roader way, and found out that the ZJ, the Grand Cherokee, it has a longer front drive shaft, and it should be just long enough to make this work. Well, local pick and pull had one. Got there, super excited, measured it up, and it was the one that I thought I needed. Got 7 out of the 8 bolts out, and the 8th one stripped. Realized I didn't have the right tools, because Jeep, in their infinite wisdom, they got that lovely mix of metric and standard that we're all used to. So instead of being an 8mm, it was actually 5/16, which is really close, but the 8mm is just a little bit bigger, so it kind of stripped the bolt, and I was like, all right, need to regroup. So I had to run home, grab a different socket, grabbed the 5/16 and a couple things, couldn't get it to work. And I ended up cracking one of my small, cheaper kits, 5/16 socket and 8mm on the 1/4" drive, because as you can see here, with the way these yokes are, there's not a whole lot of room to get much up in there. So I decided, well, I'll just bite the bullet and order one. And I found, luckily, Rock Auto had a Zeep ZJ brand new shaft for like $350, which is still a hell of a lot better than $1,200. But I sat there long enough and got grumpy enough and frustrated enough that I couldn't let this thing beat me. So I grabbed some stripped bolt extractors. Actually, I'll grab them. There's a few different versions online. I ended up going to Canadian Tire locally here in Canada, and it worked like a dream. These little guys, it's got a little twisty with some edges in there, so as you loosen it, it bites. And yeah, it was a little bit of a fight with the crescent wrench to have enough room to get the wrench on and pull it out. But once I did, it came right out. Got there just in the nick of time to get last call, and knowing that it only had the one bolt left, I was able to get it out before the yard closed last night. So today, if we take just the shaft as it sits, it's about 1 inch short, but there is a ton of travel in the shaft, so it extends to more than long enough. But giving this a little bit of a wiggle, there's some slight play, whereas you guys will have seen by now, I put a brand new one in that has 0 play. So what I'm gonna do is take this U-joint out of here, because I don't need this anymore. Pull this one out. I'll tape it all together as long as it comes out decent, and this will be my spare in case something bad happens. Put the new U-joint in here, bolt her back up, and we'll give her a go. I think in the meantime what I might do is, as you can see, there's a nice fine mist of ATF everywhere. So I might just spray this down with some degreaser, go drive in the snow, and then hit a car wash, and hopefully that gets rid of some of the grossness. But at the very least, it's just kind of rust protection right now. So I will get to pulling some U-joints. I'm not sure if I got a good way to set up for time lapse, so I'm sure you guys have dealt with U-joints before. Anyway, I'll get back to you once I'm done. All right, well, I think we're wrapped up under here. We've got the plug back in, got her all filled up. Drive shaft is in, even threw on a little bit of blue Loctite just to make sure they don't come out. Got the new U-joint in the back, kept the old one for a spare. Charlotte's even helping me clean the floor. And I think last thing I'm gonna do is, while the car's up in the air, I'll spray some degreaser under here, and hopefully, like I say, knock off this nice film of undercoat from the ATF that leaked out of the transfer case. But that should do it. I'll take her for a little rip, check her out, and yeah, I think we're back in business. So that kind of concludes the slip yoke eliminator front drive shaft of a ZJ swap into the rear of a 2-door XJ with a manual. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Catch you on the next one.